Hey everybody, welcome to the Wings on Katella podcast, episode 4, 5? Do we know?
I'm not a math.
We are still in single. We're less than one hand amount of episodes, and we still don't know what episode it is. It's episode 4 or 5. Wings on Katella podcast. I am Taylor Blake Ward, managing editor for the Sporting Tribune. With me, we have our usual cast minus Thomas Murray. Thomas is going to be doing some editing with this later, and he's got some stuff going on. But let's introduce you to the staff. Zach Kavanaugh covers the Anaheim Ducks for the Sporting Tribune. Zach, how you doing, pal?
I'm doing okay, man. You know, just we're looking at the end of the calendar here for Ducks. Got 11 games left. We're winding down. It's kind of that weird in between point where after trade deadline, after playoff, true hopes are extinguished, and just trying to figure things out for the next season.
You're getting to that point. It's getting there. I still have to make my way down there and say hi to everybody. Jack Janes is also with us, covers the Los Angeles Angels. I was going to say Anaheim Angels. Los Angeles Angels for the Sporting Tribune, among other things. Jack, good to see you at home, buddy, here in California finally. How's vacation time, and how are you doing?
Good, doing good. Good to be home, see my dogs, see my family and my girlfriend again. But, Angels season started yesterday. 161 games left, unlike Zach's, handful of games left. Might be a long season, might just be one game fluke. We'll find out.
I love it. And Zach, I saw you were ready with a rebuttal.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, is the season not already over? Did it not end yesterday? They're not playing today. It must be over.
No,
right?
No, that's a Mill Avenue rebuttal on that scenario. Also joining us, Jared Timms. Jared, longtime friend of the show, longtime friend of mine. He's going to come on and talk some Angels minor league stuff. Jared, how is Middleton, Idaho doing, man?
It's getting a little colder here. We had a couple nice days in a row, but honored to be on the show. It looks like I got to start growing out my facial hair though, with this beautiful facial hair that you guys got going on here. So,
there's a viral video going around. I was really worried that I was going to be in it with the whole husbands that are trimming their beards and everything so that they can look like Riley Green. You know that video? No?
Not that specifically, no.
Well, I went for the Riley Green thing, and I got laughed at pretty heavily and told I look like Zach Top, and that plays. So let's start. You mentioned it. The Angels did play yesterday, their season opener against the Chicago White Sox. Jack, trying to think of how to word this properly.
I think that's kind of says it all.
It was probably the worst opening day I've ever seen for a team. That was pretty bad. So Jack, what was the one positive you took away from yesterday's Angels game?
Probably the first inning that Ryan Johnson threw. He looked really good in that one inning. The next inning, I mean, he wasn't executing his pitches, but he still didn't look absolutely terrible. The home run he gave up, Benintendi, that was, fastball up and away, and he pulled it for a homer. Sometimes you got to tip your cap, but I'd say that first inning for sure.
Yeah, pretty much isolated it to different fastball variations that first inning. Sinker, four-seam, cutter, just blended all over the plate, and second inning, he blended a little too much of the plate. Jared, you tend to be positive. Give me a positive from the Angels' 8-1 loss yesterday on opening day.
Logan O'Hoppe hit the ball, and Mike Trout came out of the game healthy, hopefully. I don't know if we fully know, but I mean, he played 9 innings and after getting hit in the first, so I guess that's a positive as well.
That counts. All right. That covers the Angels for the 2025 season. No, I mean, we all know it. It's 1 of 162. My tweet for post-game before Logan O'Hoppe hit that home run was the Angels did not win today, nor did they score a run. Eventually they will score a run, and eventually they will win a game. They did score the run on the Logan O'Hoppe home run. We're not going to break down each game by game, but just not the opening day you want. About as bad an opening day you can have. When you have a position player pitching on opening day, I'm assuming that's a first. It's got to be a first. I don't have anything in front of me saying it is or isn't, but Zach, I called you yesterday after the game, and you gave me your breakdown of the Angels game yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
How'd that go
Sure.
for you?
I mean, it's as you said, everything. Like, I think if you're gonna have one more positive, Yusei Kikuchi gets a quality start, right? That's a nice thing to build off of. Did it blow up later? Yeah. Did they strike out with the bases loaded to tie the game? Yeah. Did did Mike Trout go over 3? Did Jorge Soler go over? Yes, all those things. It's pretty miserable. Like, I turned it on after you had tweeted about Ryan Johnson, and I was out running errands, and I was like, oh yeah, right, I could put on the baseball game. And I turned it on, and it's Mike Trout up at the plate, 2 on, 2 out, full count. I'm like, oh, here we go. Here's Trout's time to hit his signature opening day home run. Walk. Okay, fine. Bases loaded now. Jorge Soler, offseason acquisition. Prove that you're worth it. You're playing the White Sox for goodness sakes. Do something with it. Nope. Struck out swinging at a ball in his eyes. It's typical. All things considered.
You mentioned something with Jorge Soler that's going to bring me to my next subject here. Tim Anderson, batting 5th. And we're isolating this to one game. Like we said, we got 161 left, right?
Most important game of the season.
It's just the first one, so it's our first look at the real Angels. And it was not a good look at the first real Angels. But Jorge Soler batting cleanup. Batting 5th, Tim Anderson. Seems pretty problematic. Jared, you mentioned Logan O'Hoppe had 2 hits yesterday, 1 a home run, the only run scored on a solo home run when they were down 8-0 at the time. But I just you can't have Tim Anderson batting 5th in this lineup. And I understand you need a shortstop. You need someone that's going to at least play that position until Zach Neto is back. But, I mean, Kyron Paris is a right-handed hitter. They threw a lefty yesterday. Chicago did, I think, with Sean Burke. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. But either way, it's if you're playing matchups, you're playing defense. I just don't understand why Tim Anderson's batting 5th. And in reality, if you're going to be playing young guys, I think Kyron Paris should have been playing. Jack, what's your thought process on Tim Anderson batting 5th? Do you think it was strictly just because they were playing in Chicago?
I'm not sure if it's strictly because of Chicago or if just the fact that he's a veteran. He's going to get the opening day nod. But I'm not really looking too into it right now just because I would assume this is only a thing until Zach Neto comes back, and then Kevin Newman can either move to second or Luis Rengifo moves to second. And, obviously Moncada didn't start at third. He had to come in later. So I think once Moncada's fully healthy, Neto's fully healthy, the Angels aren't going to be seeing much of Tim Anderson on the field anymore. So I'm trying not to read too much into these types of decisions this early. Now, when those guys come back and Tim Anderson's, still in the lineup every day, then we could start raising concerns about it. That's just how I'm looking at it.
No, I tend to agree. I mean, you want to see Timmy bounce back. He's a likable guy. It's you want to see the veterans come back, but realistically, Tim Anderson is not what he used to be. He's not the batting champion that he was. It's just a lot of things that have to go right for Tim Anderson to be any semblance of what he was. Jared, there was something else that kind of bothered me, and we mentioned it. Ryan Johnson did throw yesterday, but he threw a second inning. His first inning of work was really good. Second inning, you have an off day today. We're recording on Friday. The Angels are off today. You have a full bullpen for the entire series and the entire weekend. I just don't see why Ron sent Ryan out for a second inning there. And it's little decisions like this, and we're nitpicking because it's one game that we can isolate and everything. But Jared, would you have sent Ryan out there for a second inning of work with a full bullpen of opening day? Right, everyone should be ready.
Well, it was his first inning of professional baseball, and I probably would have been like, "Hey, shake the hand. Congratulations. This is the show. Good job. You've done it. We're gonna go to Nicky Lopez now." No, but I probably wouldn't have sent him back out there just because, again, you got his feet wet. And that's just kind of how it works. I feel like we've kind of, the Angels bullpen decisions over the past 7 years, I feel like, has been such a big problem, not just in the Ron Washington era, but I mean, you look back into Phil Nevin. You look back at, and it's constantly been a problem, especially early on. So I guess them not using the bullpen's a good thing, because I feel like a lot of times they kill the bullpen early, and then it's DFA, a guy DFA a guy. Now we're at bullpen arm number 25 on the season. But yeah, I wouldn't have sent him back out there. Long story short.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go send Ben Joyce or Kenley Jansen out there when you're down 3-0, but definitely a peculiar decision if I'm being honest about it. Just a few notes I want to share from yesterday. We are recording on March 28th. 1 year ago to the date, Ryan Johnson, who we're talking about right now, threw 7 innings scoreless, struck out 9, 3 hits allowed, 3 walks allowed against New Mexico State. Yesterday, he allows 5 runs against the Chicago White Sox. I'm not worried about Ryan Johnson in the least bit. Like I said, a year ago, he was having to go face the powerhouse that is New Mexico State. Jared, you and I were talking about that earlier. But not worried about Ryan Johnson. One note that I saw today, I don't know 100% if this is factual or not, but I'm pretty blown away by it. The White Sox won a game yesterday in which both Tim Anderson and Yohan Moncada played for the first time since September 28th, 2023. I don't know if that's factual. I saw the tweet. I retweeted it. I probably can't stat check that, but that blew my mind. I guess Timmy wasn't really with the White Sox last year, was he? Not a whole lot. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I thought that was a really interesting note. Zach, I'm going to get back to you on this because we're going to talk a lot of Ducks and everything as we come up. But Jack, we had our season preview yesterday. You were responsible for writing up the starting rotation. Everyone knew the front four would be Hendricks, Soriano, Kikuchi, and TA. For the 5th spot, Jack Kahanowitz takes it over Reed Detmer's thought process here on the rotation for the Angels going into the season. Were you surprised it was Jack over Reed?
I mean, yes and no. Like, I'm not surprised because Kahanowitz had that 9 stretch start to end the season last year where he was really good. He pitched really well this spring, and he just looked the same. So I'm not surprised that he won the job, but I am surprised just because, we've talked about on this podcast, like, Reed Detmers is still their most important pitcher because he has all that upside. So that's the one surprising thing about it. But the pitching staff as a whole, I see all the projections. They're projected to be like bottom 5 in the league. I think they could be, middle, not great, not good, but like okay. I think Jose Soriano's really good. I think Jack Kahanowitz can continue to be good. Yusei Kikuchi's kind of a wild card. I think he has the potential to be really good, but also historically speaking, he hasn't. So, and then Kyle Hendricks. I don't know what he's going to provide for the Angels. If he can eat innings with a sub-5 ERA, I'm sure Perry Manazzi will do a backflip. And then Tyler Anderson, another wild card. Like he had a really bad year his first year. Last year he had a really good first half and a really bad second half. So what are we going to see from him this year? There's just kind of a lot of question marks with some of the veteran guys, but I think at their best they could be a middle of the pack rotation.
And you mentioned TA. He had a reverse year. He always started slow. If you go back and look at the start of the career up until last year, he was an atrocious starter, great end of the year closer. Right? He would end the year really strong. It took him a while to get there. Last year, obviously, he was voted an All-Star. Part of that was the Angels needed one, but he was voted an All-Star. And then it fell apart, kind of anticipated. You can't keep up with that kind of the data that he had. He couldn't keep up with the run limitation that came with the data. You mentioned Jack, and something I was thinking of with Reed to close out 2023, as I pull this up, if it'll let me get there. Reed had back-to-back horrendous starts at the end of 2023 where he allowed 7 runs each. His next 7 starts, he had if it'll let me look at it, 2.41 ERA. That doesn't include the start of the season he had last year. So if you're going 11 starts, that includes the 1.19 ERA. So Reed went through this stretch that Jack is going through, except he was striking guys out. Jack last year to end the year, 2.78 ERA in his last 9 starts. He went 6 innings or more in all but one, where he went 5 2/3. So essentially, consider it 6 innings. I think the thing with Jack, you're getting 18 outs, right? You know you're getting 18 outs out of him because he's going to be efficient. Now it's just, can he? The one thing for me with Jack, right now you have a guy that's limiting runs. I don't care how it's coming. I know that Jack doesn't strike guys out. I know that. And that's going to be the flaw that is for projection. You can't project that Jack is going to limit runs in the future because he doesn't strike a lot of guys out. A lot of the outs are on the ground. But right now, at this very moment, Jack is one of the best run production pitchers for the Angels. And he's going to give you 18 outs to do it. So that's where I sit there and say, yeah, Jack definitely earned this, even over Reed, which, Jared, you're probably going to laugh at this. I mean, I've seen Reed as the most important pitcher in the Angels system the minute he got brought in. And that doesn't mean, I'm not saying system, organization, for the minute he was brought into the organization. Jared, your thoughts here before we touch on Salt Lake about the rotation and the Angels season in bulk. Jack, I'm going to come back to you on this, but Angels season in bulk, what is your anticipation for the Angels this season?
Build for 2026. That's where I'm at with it. See what you got, see what holes you're going to have, and hope you're close to a 500 team. And heck, if you're close to a 500 team in July, you saw what the Tigers did last year, and all of a sudden they're a team that nobody had in a playoff conversation. All of a sudden they're winning 30 out of 35 down the stretch to make it to the playoffs or something crazy like that. And you just never know with baseball. That's kind of the cool thing about it. But yeah, expectations I've set kind of low for the Angels this year. I mean, if they're a 75 win team, I think it's a good thing. There's a lot of question marks that go with that. Does Perry keep his job? Does Ron keep his job? And so on and so forth that you guys can talk about for the next 6 months as it is. But yeah, I think you need to build for 2026 and beyond. And I don't know if that's the team that they put out there right now, but I think that's a team that we'll see come July, maybe around the trade deadline, something like that. If we see some injuries and things like that, we see Christian Moore, George Clausen, Samuel Aldegary, Caden Dana. There's I wouldn't say a wealth of young talent that you can bring up, but there's a good chunk of young talent that you could bring up that could produce at the major league level. And you want to know what you have again going into 2026. Taylor, you said I might call you crazy, but I think you guys are going to call me crazy. But I think that Jack Hanowitz is, in a sense, modern day Greg Maddux. When you look at it, like, as weird as it sounds, he's throwing 98 miles an hour, but like the command that he gets and the amount of outs he gets, it reminds me a lot of Greg Maddux, especially the stuff too. It's really weird. I know that Jack Hanowitz is never going to be one of the greatest pitchers of all time, but I mean, you look at it and they're probably pretty similar pitchers at the end of the day, stat wise. I know they're totally different pitchers, but it's kind of fun to look at those two guys. So
you're going to tell me right now that let's see. So Jack Hanowitz is going to go win 355 games, 100-plus career WAR, one of the greatest pitchers of all time. So there we go. Jack Hanowitz on a mission. Jared, I get exactly what you're saying. I get exactly what it is. There is actually a name, and I want to just give you this. This is a guy born in Philadelphia, goes to school at William Penn, which is right down the road from Harriton, which is where Jack went. Now, this guy is 6'6", born in Philly, and Jack is 6'7", born in Philly. Both go to school about 10 miles apart, if even, from each other. I've talked to both guys about each other. What if Jack has a career similar to Mark Gubicza? I mean, they have a similar delivery. Now, Mark is going to be the first guy to tell you he's not throwing a 98-mile-per-hour sinker, but he's throwing a sinker that's equivalent to what Jack is throwing. The slider for Mark is definitely better. Mark actually even just called it a sweeper the other day. He says, I probably was throwing a sweeper my whole career, but if you can get Mark Gubicza's career out of Jack Hanowitz, I mean, Mark Gubicza, he had career 38 WAR. He's one of the greatest pitchers in Kansas City Royals history, and I know I'm talking really well about a friend here, but could Jack go win 10 games a year? I know that we don't count pitching wins as what we used to, but a guy that's going to go out there and at least put you in a spot where the Angels can go win 15 of his starts or even more of those starts. And can he go and just throw a bunch of sinkers, get the ball on the ground? I don't know. That's the way I would want to look at it. Jack, what are your thoughts here? I mean, is the ground ball process going to work for Jack Kahanowitz?
I think so, especially with, Zach Neto at shortstop, good defensive player. At third base, Yoan Moncada can be good if he's on the field. So getting the ground balls definitely plays. He doesn't give up barrels at all. He doesn't give up fly balls at all. So he keeps the ball in the yard, keeps the ball on the ground. Not a lot of damage is going to be done. Are there going to be innings that spiral from him where, balls just bleed through the holes and they just get past, guys? Yeah, singles will add up. But I think for the most part, especially in today's game, if you can keep the ball on the ground, you're going to be a very effective pitcher. And you talked about Mark Gubza, the comparison. I just looked up Mark Gubza's page right now, and I think his career strikeouts per 9 is double what Kohanowitz's was last year. So and it's like 6.
Yeah, we need to tell Mark that when we see him. Just be like, hey, do you strike out twice as many guys as Jack? No. Yeah. And Jack's throwing 98. No,
yeah,
no, I love it.
When you look at Jack Kohanowitz's baseball savant, the pitching heat maps. If you look at his sinker, it's all like, say like this is the strikeout or the strike zone. It's like middle. It's like, here's 98 down the middle. Do whatever you want with it, and they're just pounding it into the ground.
Love it. Zach, any thoughts on Angels pitching, Angels 2025 season, just kind of the way that you view it? I know that baseball is maybe second nature as opposed to first nature when it comes to hockey, but Zach, I want to at least get your opinions on it when it comes to the Angels. Are you expecting them to replicate last year, maybe lose 100 games, or you think they improved? What do you thought?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, this Angels franchise has beaten the baseball out of me. I got to tell you that. Like, I was day to day with the Angels for a very, very long time, talking about the pitching changes and the rotation and yelling at Mike Scioscia for leaving guys in too long. And I was there for all of it. But just slowly but surely, I can't have any expectations for an Angels team until they finally do something. Like, could this team lose 100 games? Certainly could. Could it make the playoffs? I don't think that's even, like, realistic. Could they be 500? I mean, I guess that's the top end of what you're asking for. Like, I saw somebody on Twitter, and I will give that it's probably just a more irrational fan than even I've been, but there's so many things just in the structure of this franchise right now that you wonder if it is actually fixable by the people that are in charge with the players that are there. Like, can they actually make something of what they have? And certainly an opening day like yesterday doesn't lead you to believe that that's the case. But I think in kind of connecting the Ducks and the Angels, you have to see small gains somewhere. And so it doesn't need to be, I don't even think it needs to be a 500 season. It just needs to not be the worst season in franchise history. Like, the Ducks, the last 2 years were the worst 2 years in their franchise's history. First worst, followed by the second worst, and not by a big margin. Whereas this year they're going to be eliminated from the playoffs probably next week, but there's still there's more to build off of there. There's less to build off of with the Angels. So I think what's a good number?
You asking, or you?
No, I'm thinking, like, I think 75 is probably your target number, and you just hope for the best.
That's fair. That's on my report. I ended up putting 75 as the range, is what I feel like the Angels should. They're capable of winning, especially if Mike Trout's on the field. They're capable of winning 75 games as the general range. Now, if you pick off 6 games right there, you win 6 games that you weren't supposed to, you're a 500 team. That's massive. This team hasn't been 500 since, 2015, I think? Or does that sound right, Jack? It's been forever and a day. So they need this. It's dramatically important that this team finishes as close to 500 as possible, if not over. so that we can keep some jobs here. I mean, this is
If
where
if they finish under 500, do they just clean house? Do they start over again?
pending improvements, pending what the improvements are. I think Perry has the ear of ownership. I think the ownership is giving him a little bit of a cast, but at the same time, Artie Moreno came out and said he didn't want to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on free agents. And that's, I don't think Juan Soto was ever coming to Anaheim under any sense, but I don't think they even made the attempt because the money, why would a team that almost lost 100 games the year before put $600, $700, $800 million, over $500 million towards a player? So, if it's Shohei Ohtani, they should have, but that's what it is. Gone and done.
I will say, before we move on from the whole Angels bit of it, I do have to praise the White Sox for giving me a little bit of entertainment in their ad placement yesterday. I turned on the game in the 7th. The ad behind home plate in the 7th inning was Hooters. The ad behind home plate in the 8th inning was Playboy Hard Seltzer. So,
oh no,
Hooters and Playboy, America's pastime. Good
That's
stuff.
not good.
Good stuff, White Sox.
I think one of those companies is going bankrupt. So, Jack, Jared, anything more on Angels? I do want to, Jared, I'm going to hold off on that. Jack, anything more you want to talk about when it comes to Angels this year? I know that you also put your season prediction out. Just share your thoughts real quick on that.
I was pretty much the same as you. 75 wins. I think if this team is relatively healthy and plays to their expectations, I think 75 wins is a good benchmark for them to hit. Really, all you want to see this year is just the young guys continue to take a step forward. Mike Trout stays healthy. That's pretty much all you could ask for. I agree with, Jared said, build to 2026. A team isn't going to go from 99 losses to a winning team. That's just unrealistic expectations, no matter what the overhaul is in the lineup and anything like that. So I think if we can see tangible growth from the young guys, the guys in the bullpen, the young guys up at the starting rotation, and I think this team could show that they have some sort of future ahead of them. I think you guys briefly touched on if guys have, safe jobs like Perry or Ron. I don't know about Ron, but I know Perry just signed his 2-year extension, so I feel like he might have a little bit of a cushion, but time will tell.
This team just has to grow. Like you said, it's the Netos, the O'Hoppes, the Sean Wells, the Silseths, the Detmers, Danas of the world. There's tons of them. It's a good thing that there's a lot of these guys that need to grow, but they have to do it. It's the same as the Anaheim Ducks. You're waiting for Trevor Zegras. You're waiting for the last 3-4 podcasts, whatever episode this is, every episode we've talked about the defenseman, right? Owen Zellweger is growing. Jackson LaCombe is growing immensely. Pavel Mitnikov is growing. You need to see that across the street. That's why we're called Wings on Katella. Across Katella, you need to see Jackson LaCombe doing things on the baseball field. So, and Jackson LaCombe can come in any sense. Shut up, Zach. I saw that smirk. Shut up. But you need Zach Neto to be Jackson LaCombe. And I think Zach's made that gap. I think Zach has shown that already. But you need Nolan, right? You need Nolan Shonwell. You need Chase Silseth to make those jumps that these guys have across the street. Speaking of those jumps,
before we jump,
you got it.
One, I do want to get what's a baseline for Mike Trout. Not like games played, I think, is sort of flexible. But what is a successful season for Mike Trout in terms of his actual production that he gives to his team?
I would say games played is the marker for Mike Trout. I think this year, especially, he's got to be healthy because he's going to produce. If he's on the field, I think he's going to hit 20, 30, maybe more home runs. He's going to drive in however many runs, he'll drive in at least 30 runs because he'll be on base for 30 of his home runs. But, you don't have to look at it as he needs a 10-win season or he needs 100 RBIs or he needs 40 home runs. It's Mike Trout has to be on the field at least 120 to 130 times or more. And at that point, he's just going to, he's going to do Mike Trout things. That's essentially you're assuming that he's already a 4 or 5 win player at that point. Is my guess. Jared, do you guys agree with that? That just by him being on the field and being Mike Trout, that's a 4 to 5 win player.
I mean, he played 119 games in 2022, and he was a 6.1 WAR player.
Right. I mean, but he doesn't have to do that. It's just an equivalent of that. Jared, same thought process?
Yeah, I saw watching MLB Network yesterday, and I saw over 120 games, and that's where I put it. Like, if he can stay on the field for over 120 games, you have a really good Mike Trout, and I mean, he's still gonna hit 35 home runs and drive in 35 RBIs and steal 3 bases or whatever it is and play a decent right field. But yeah, it comes down to the games played. I mean, is he over 120 games or is he under 120 games?
Yeah.
Yeah. What stood out to me yesterday too, like we already talked about Mike Trout coming out of that game healthy. The first thing I saw of any baseball social media stuff I saw yesterday was it was Sam Blum's tweet. It's the first inning. Mike Trout has been hit by a pitch, and I was like, "Son of a bitch!" Are we doing this right now, like out the gate? And still played the 9 innings, and he survived. So, however much more padding he needs on that hand, because there's a lot going on that outside arm right now with him. But bubble wrap, man, just make it through.
There are a lot of projection pieces that the Fangraphs tends to use, and I just wanted to share these with you just to kind of answer your question. Steamer is the one I tend to use. Steamer projects that Trout's going to play 103 games. He's going to hit 25 home runs in those games, a 135 weighted runs created plus, 3.1 WAR. Zips, which a lot of people do use, has him at 78 games, 3.1 WAR. So, like I said, just him on the field alone, you're looking at a 4 WAR, 5 WAR season because of what he can do at the plate. And also, that if he's playing right field, he's not going to be a liability. It's going to be an adjustment, but it's not going to be a liability. So it's a good question. It's a really good question. And just realistically, Mike just needs to be on the field. It's dramatically important that Mike stays on the field. We're going to talk Anaheim Ducks again. Wings on Katella podcast. We talk Anaheim Ducks. We talk Los Angeles Angels, Orange County sports in general. Jared, we won't talk about UCI. We won't talk about Chapman, anything. Okay, I'll throw my little amateur baseball thing. Shout out to Josiah Hartshorn. Hit 4 home runs last week for Orange Lutheran. He's up to 12 home runs on the season and broke the school single season record in what will be his draft year if he does not go to A&M. Is he A&M, Jared?
He's Oregon.
He is Oregon. He doesn't go to Oregon. So, Oregon or Oregon State? Oregon. You're right, Oregon. So, shout out to Josiah Hartshorn, Santa Ana, Orange Lutheran. Good on him. Shout out
Cole High.
Trent Rush, big old Orange OLU grad, man. So, good friend of ours.
Yeah, Trent and I go way back.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
We could spend a long time talking about Trent. Positive and negative. You heard me, Trent. Come at me, brethren. Jared, March 28th, opening night for the Salt Lake Bees, AAA Baseball, Pacific Coast League. When it comes to the Angels, a lot of their prospects are sitting in AA Rocket City, which is out in Madison, Alabama. Salt Lake, though, this year, a member of the rotation, not starting tonight, but a member of the rotation, Caden Dana. Tell us a little bit about Caden, what you expect from him this season, and also just a quick look into the farm system, what you think might be able to help the big club this year.
Yeah, when you're talking about any pitching, it comes down to the stadium, and I don't even know if we're allowed to talk about the stadium yet because I don't know if any. I think we've seen some pictures of the new stadium and things like that.
So they did make the stadium symmetrical. They pushed the right field line down an extra 30 feet, but everything else is similar to Smith's. Elevation did rise. It did not add humidifiers, so it is still a 5,000 or almost 5,000 foot stadium.
So, but I mean, there you have it. I mean, anytime you send any picture to the PCL, Pacific Coast League, it's gonna be tough hitting anywhere you go. Just because you have a lot of ex-major leaguers there that are just gonna, hunt a lot of good pitches and just be good hitters in against minor league pitching. So Caden's gonna have a bit of a challenge here, and I think that I've said this a lot about Angels minor leaguers, Joe Adell in particular. It might be a good thing to see him fail a little bit. I know he did it at the end of last season just a little bit with the Angels, but there's always that Caden Dana was a high school pitcher who has only succeeded in his career. Like, he was good in high school. He was good a lot of times in the minors. And now he's going to be in AAA where he's going to get hit a lot, to be honest. So we'll see how he handles the failure. Sometimes it's good for players, sometimes it's bad for players. So yeah, I'm excited to see Caden Dana. I'm excited to see any new pitches that he comes up with, because we remember from the past that Reed Detmers went to AAA to go work on his pitch arsenal, and it ended up being pretty good for him. So yeah, I'm excited there. Hitting wise, offensively for Salt Lake, we'll kind of see where that goes. It's a lot of ex-major leaguers, a lot of guys that were non-roster invitees. I don't know if we can really talk about the roster right now, but I assume we see guys like Scott Kingery there, Yolmer Sanchez, those types of guys that we probably see at the major league level at some point as well for the Angels. So yeah, if you have a chance to go watch Salt Lake Bees, it's a lot of players that are going to probably be up with the Angels at some point this year, especially if the injuries continue to happen at the big league club.
And the reason that Jared is giving the political responses on the roster, the roster has not been official yet, but we got a sneak peek into it, and that is, yeah. So thank you, Jared. Something I'm thinking of, and Christian Moore is not going to be with Salt Lake. He's going to start in Rocket City. Jack, just thinking about this right now, you were there all spring. You saw Christian and Ryan. I can't say for sure. I don't know if the organization views it this way, but if Ryan Johnson wasn't making the push that he was, do you think Christian Moore would have made the opening day roster so that the Angels could still hold the title of first to the draft to the majors?
No, I don't think so. I think they were pretty set on, no matter what Ryan Johnson was doing, that they were going to have Christian Moore start in Double-A. I mean, did he? I think he ended the spring with one extra base hit, if I remember correctly. He didn't look out of place. He didn't look completely overmatched, but he didn't look ready. So sometime in Double-A, some seasoning, he'll get better. I'm not worried about Christian Moore at all.
Now, for both of you, and Zach, jump in with anything Angels prospects you want.
I love the Rocket City Trash Pandas.
I know you do. I know you do.
It's fantastic.
Well, okay, so what's a trash panda? Because we call them trash pandas where I live, like the actual animal.
It's a raccoon, yeah.
Exactly. It's a raccoon. And I don't think people knew about that till that. What was the Disney movie, the Avengers thing?
Guardians of the Galaxy?
That one. Not a Disney Avengers guy. Sorry, but I don't. They call.
So
it, they call
you didn't
it,
watch the 5-hour live stream of folding chairs the other day?
I have not seen. I think I've seen 20
man.
minutes of one Avengers movie ever. So, but
Wow.
Isn't the Bradley Cooper thing? Don't they call him a trash panda instead of a raccoon?
He's Rocket Raccoon, yeah.
Rocket Raccoon. Love it. So, what were we talking about? Angels prospects. I don't even know where I was going with it anymore. Oh, Chris, for Jack and Jared, when do you think is an appropriate time for Christian to join the Major League roster? And you can talk over each other for all I care. I'm going to throw in a little throat lozenge.
I say yesterday. Like, I think he should have made the opening day roster just because of what I've been saying. Let the kids play. As much as I love seeing Tim Anderson bat behind Jorge Soler, like, it would be a lot better for the future to see a guy like Christian Moore go 0 for 4 and be like, all right, well, we build off that. I know a lot of people won't agree with me on that, but I'd rather see Logan O'Hoppe bat behind Jorge Soler too. So I would say yesterday, I would have loved to have seen Christian Moore. I would love to have seen Christian Moore not get hurt last year because I think he would have been up.
I think, especially with Luis Rengifo, he's on an expiring deal, I believe. He can be free agent at the end of the season. So if the Angels are bad, we could see Rengifo getting traded at the deadline, and then if Moore's playing well down at Double-A, he can make the jump once after the trade deadline and play the rest of the season with the Angels. So I don't mind him playing every day down in Double-A because I know he's going to be coming up pretty soon anyway.
I will say this on top of it, and Taylor might be thinking the same thing here because we talked about it. I think if we don't see him early, we don't see him at all, because there's a chance that he has a chance to win Rookie of the Year, which has implications of draft pick and things like that. So same goes with Caden Dana. Like, if we don't see them early and playing the entire year, there's a chance that we don't see them at all this year just because of that draft pick attached to a possible Rookie of the Year.
You'd have to monitor the day count, especially with Caden, the day count, because even though certain affiliates do it by at-bats and innings pitched and appearances. The technicality is 120 at bats. Is it 150 or 120 for rookie eligibility?
Pipeline's 150 is when you get taken off, so I would assume 150.
So
No, it's 130. I don't know. Something like
it's like 130 at bats, and it's 50 innings pitched, or 45 days on the active roster. So that's what you'd have to watch for. But yeah, you mentioned it. Either of these guys, if they don't sit in the major leagues for 45 days this year, they would be eligible as so long as they retain top 100 prospect status from either ESPN, Baseball America, or MLB Pipeline. I think that's it when it comes to Angels, guys. I really want to get to Zach because I do want to talk Anaheim Ducks. So any last thoughts when it comes to the Angels here at all? I love that. Shaking heads. I love it. Zach, I've got one for you, and we've mentioned it before. I'm a massive Alex Ovechkin fan. For as big of an Ovechkin fan as I am, I'm a much bigger Marc-Andre Fleury fan. Last night, Alex Ovechkin grabs the entire Capitals roster or team as they're going down the tunnel and says, "Get your butts back out here. We're going to go shake the hand of Marc-Andre Fleury," because it's likely the last time those two play each other. Seeing the respect of two of the greatest players that the game has seen. I know that Fleury's not a top one. I know that Ovechkin's not a top one. But, greatest goal scorer, one of the best goalies of a generation. Seeing the respect level of these two guys. I just want to sit on Ovechkin for a minute. But did you see it? What did you think of it?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, the Ducks went through a similar phase when Teemu was retiring. That, these great players say, "No, hey, we're sticking out here. We're doing this." One of my favorite memories of going to a Ducks game was Teemu Solani's last regular season home game. Was also John Sebastian Jaguar's last game in the NHL, and so they were doing it for Teemu to say goodbye to Teemu, and then Teemu grabbed Jaguar's like, no, we're doing this for you too, and then they did a lap around the rink.
I remember that very well. I was across the street that day. I wish I was over there.
Yeah, it was one of the best moments I've ever seen in that building. But it's incredible to have that sort of respect, because those two guys, not only are they just two of the greats, like they went at it for years in the Caps Penguins rivalry. So Ovi knows all about Flower and everything that he brings, and I think Marc-Andre Fleury is just beloved around the league, and he was one of the few number one overall pick goaltenders in NHL history. I think he's in top 5 in wins at this point. Up there in the shutout numbers too. Like he's much better than people think, but he's also a 3-time Cup champ, and he deserves every bit of the flowers that are put his way at the end of his career here.
Love it. I apologize. I just got the official Salt Lake Bees roster to start the season, so I'm going to send a tweet out. But, Zach, something I was thinking of, and you guys can mingle about this all you want. Alex Ovechkin, 5 goals away from tying Gretzky, 5 games away from matching Gretzky's total career games played as well. For the sake of argument, it's tougher to score in today's game than it was during Gretzky's era. No doubt about it. But for the sake of argument, a lot of people are going to sit there and say, "Oh, Ovechkin had this many games," whatever it is. Dear God, I want to see Ovechkin get 5 goals in the next 5 games. And just match it. Tie it dead on, because he's going to break the record. But in my mind, I thought last night was going to be... I targeted last night from about 3-4 months ago as the game that Ovechkin would break the record. Just our general thoughts, guys. I mean, this is Alex Ovechkin, one of the most likable players in hockey history, the greatest goal scorer I've ever seen. I believe for Zach, I believe you said that publicly. What do you guys think? I mean, where are you going to be when Alex Ovechkin breaks the record here?
Watching it, like there's no. I don't think there's an argument to be had. He is the greatest goal scorer the game has ever seen. If you put Ovechkin in the same era of goaltending and defense as Wayne Gretzky was, he'd have 2,000 goals. Like it's not even a comparison. Not to mention, I think we've mentioned this before when we talked about this, but Ovechkin lost a year and a half to lockouts. He lost time to the end of the COVID season. He should have been breaking this record and putting it well beyond if he was allowed to play every season that he was eligible to play a full year. So it's not even a question that he's the greatest. And they've only got 10 games left. He's been scoring at an incredible pace. I hope he gets it done before the end of the year, because I don't think anybody wants it to drag on and have it be like, oh, season opener next year, he scores a goal. Oh, he did it now. It's like, no, just we've been building up to it. There's a lot of anticipation for it. Capitalize on the moment and do it.
Also,
how many? Real quick, how many games left for the Capitals this year?
10. 10 games.
He needs 5 goals?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, I hope it makes it this year. Sorry, Jack.
No, you're good. I was just say, just going back to what makes him the greatest goalie or goal scorer of all time, how many guys can sit on the ice and everyone knows what you're going to do and you still do it and you still score? They call it Ovi's office for a reason. He parks right there and he scores. And it's automatic. Everyone knows that's the game plan for the Capitals, and they've been trying for 20 years and they still haven't been able to stop it. And going back to playing in Gretzky's era, 2,000 goals, and how many goalies would he have murdered with his shot because of the padding that they did not have?
Poor Darren Pang still wouldn't be alive today.
Yeah, exactly. It's hands down, he's the best goal scorer ever.
And this is not a knock on Wayne Gretzky, who is, in my opinion, the greatest hockey player. And you can argue Gordie Howe. You can argue, we were talking about it a few episodes ago, Connor McDavid is the most talented player I've ever seen. Probably on a talent scale, the best player I've seen. But Wayne Gretzky is the greatest. He's the GOAT, right? He's Jordan. He's Babe Ruth. He's mythical to a degree. So the fact that we're talking about Ovechkin in a mythical sense just shows what kind of astonishing career. This was viewed as unfathomable. So, Jared, I jumped in. I apologize.
No, you're good. I was just going to say, I remember, you remember where you were for a lot of moments. I was at Albert's 700th or 600th. I was driving when Bonds hit his, when Kobe made the free throw and things like that. Yeah. So breaking a big record like this, you're going to remember where you were, where you were watching it that day, all that fun stuff that goes along with it. And Ovi goes down as one of the greatest to ever do it, 100%. I mean, it's fun to go look at Wayne Gretzky's stats because I'm a big stat guy, but also Ovi, unbelievable, especially in today's era where, sports physicality is so much different. There are guys training 365 days a year and things like that. I mean, everybody makes the argument would Ruth do it in today's games and things like that? It doesn't really matter. But yeah, it's awesome to see Ovi do this, and I hope he does it this year too.
Yeah,
and the thing with Ovi too, he's not limping along. He's not just putting in empty netters. This is his 20th year, and he's scoring at the 9th best goals per game he's scored in his career. And yes, he is putting on his spot, top of the left circle, getting those one-timers. But he's still skating up the ice. He's still getting breakaways. He's still scoring from behind the net. He's doing everything that he's done his entire career and more at age, 39, almost 40? It's incredible. He's like, I almost want to akin him to LeBron, where he's just this physical specimen. He's a physical player, and yet he's still performing at rates that guys 10 years younger than him can't do. It's absolutely astonishing.
I'm going to come back to that, but Jack, you've been dying on this one.
Just go back to what Zach said earlier about, Ovi missing a year and a half or 2.5 years, whatever it was, to lockouts and stuff. He broke his leg and missed a month this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. He would have already had this record done if he didn't break his leg in, what was that, November, December?
Yeah.
And you don't need – the game's different. We could talk about it. I mean, Gretzky needed an enforcer. He needed someone to actually protect his physical being because hockey permitted people to go and slug a stick at someone's head. I mean, that's how it was in the 80s and things. But you mentioned LeBron, man. I've never seen an athlete of any caliber, the same athlete as LeBron James. He's the most incredible athlete I've seen. That doesn't mean he's the greatest basketball player or the greatest sports whatever, but just, you mentioned it, Alex Ovechkin. You go back and watch how many times has he scored from his back? How many angles has he scored from? How many the bank off the board with the, I mean, I can't even twist my body like that right now because it hurts. I'm half Alex Ovechkin's age. is remarkable. So just from the Sporting Tribune and from Wings on Katella, Alex Ovechkin, go freaking get it, man. We're rooting for you. We love you.
When they came into town and I got to go in the locker room and talk to him for a sec, dude's a truck. Like, I walked down to the locker room and I got turned around because they put up a screen and I had to go back to the other elevator and whatever. I'm walking in. I'm a little late. All the rest of the reporters have gone to the locker room. Oh, I see Ovechkin walk out of the locker room. I'm like, oh shit, did I miss his availability? No, he's going out into the hallway to do some cleans with like 45-pound weights on a bar in the middle of the hallway. Like, they just had morning skate. Everybody, all the rest of his teammates and the media is in the locker room, and he's going into the hallway to do stretches on the roller and do some clean presses. And then he walks back in, the beanie, the hoodie, just a beefy man, and commands the entire room. He's just an absolute specimen of a person.
That's what happens.
And a great quote too.
That's what happens when you eat polar bear meat and drink vodka, man. That's it.
Yeah.
And he's 39 years old, his 20th year in the NHL, and not including the 2 COVID years and the lockouts, the lowest amount of games played he's had in a season is 72. That's durability.
Does he make 72? Does he make 72 this year?
I don't think so.
No,
this is his like worst year, right?
Yeah, he's at 56, so the most he'll get is 66.
And you think about also like how he plays the game. Like, he's not just the skill guy who avoids hits, and he's physical. He's not afraid to get in the middle of everything and throw his body around, throw around big hits, get in scrums. Like, he plays physical, and he could have very easily gotten hurt so many times throughout his career, and he's just held up.
Well, I remember YouTubing nonstop his hit on, I think it was Jordan Tutu is one of them, and the other one was PK Subban. And it's just like, oh my God. Like you said, Zach, this man is a beast. He's a tank. So
he's just an absolute semi-truck.
I know.
It's incredible.
I do want to talk Anaheim Ducks. As much as we could gush about Alex Ovechkin, I could do this for hours. I love Alex Ovechkin. Ducks right now, kind of the big news is a little bit more down on the farm for them down in San Diego. But Zach, you mentioned something. You wrote an article about Cutter Gauthier. Rookie season, a little bit of a wake-up call for him. Can you take us through kind of what you wrote about Cutter and just his year in general? I know that it maybe statistically isn't what we wanted, but just the growing pains of being a rookie in the NHL these days.
Yeah, he comes. The premise of the story is he started the year. We were all ready to anoint him. Like, the Ducks gave up a very highly touted defensive prospect. He was World Juniors MVP. He was going to be all these things. Leading goal scorer in the NCAA last year at Boston College. He was going to be the next sniper for this team. You put him, started the year, you put him on the line with Leo Carlsson, and you said, this is the franchise top line cornerstones. Let's see them go off and running. And it was kind of a slow start for Leo Carlsson and an even slower start for Cutter. That line only lasted 5 games. He stayed on another 2 games with Leo and then didn't see him again for 61 games. Cutter didn't score his first goal until his 17th NHL game. He got demoted to the 3rd line at times, down to the 4th line, because Greg Cronin told him, you got to learn some of the harder habits to learn in this league. You have to. When I asked Cronin about it the other day, and Cutter backed this up too, he was doing this thing where they would get into the defensive zone, and on his college tape, he would just sort of stare at the puck, not be very aware of what's going on around him, and just sort of slap it out. In the offensive zone, he would skate right up to the puck, not take any thought of who was around him, and just shoot it. And he was doing a lot of that early in the season, just shoot. And his shooting percentage showed it. He was a 6% shooter in his first 41 games of the year. And over time, whether it's from the veterans like Alex Killorn or just playing on the 3rd line with guys like Jansen Harkins and Isaac Lundestrom, and even that 4th line stint, you learn that you do have to play a gritty game. You have to be more aware of your surroundings. You have to look. You have to just do all these little things that he never had to do as a college player. He said it, Cronin said it, when he was in college, he would just shoot it and it would go in the net. Didn't matter where he was. All he had to do was put the puck on net and it would go in. Scoring was easy. It is not easy in the NHL. The NHL is not an easy league to be in. So he's learned that over time, and now 4 games ago, he got put back with that top line, and he scored his first goal with that line yesterday. Kind of a fluky one, but still, they have been the most consistent team or consistent line on the ice for the Ducks. Cutter said that he's broken up his season into 2 halves because in college, the most he played was 41 games. So 41 games, half a season in the NHL kind of works out nicely. First 41 games, he had 18 points in 41 games. Shooting percentage was 6%, like I said, and I think he only had 7 even strength goals. In the last 30 games, he has 17 points, so a higher point per game. He's playing actually a minute less of ice time, but his average shots per game is slightly up, and his shooting percentage has doubled to 12.5%. So he's being more purposeful with his shots. He's making the right plays at the right time and utilizing that incredible speed he has alongside Leo Carlsson. And now you see the potential of what that line can be. And so he has to go, as you said, he's had to have a wake up call, go through those growing pains. And I asked him if he feels that he's fulfilled by this recent stretch of good games. He said he's not fulfilled, and he knows that he has to come in and put on his work boots is the quote, and get to work. And I think next season will be an even greater tell of what exactly the Ducks acquired and why it was a great move for them to do in the long run of getting this guy on their team to be a scorer, which is something they desperately need.
I'm trying to think on something here while you're doing this. So this article of yours is on thesportingtribune.com under the Ducks section. I'm mentally thinking of a question, and I want to go in a different direction. So just real quick, down in San Diego, you've got Stein Solberg. Nathan Gauthier, his season is officially ended. And I do want to bring an emphasis. We were going to have Austin Gibbons on the podcast, prospect writer for the Sporting Tribune. Austin had some things going on, but had a nice little piece about Nathan. And despite his season, it wasn't a great point season, but the leadership qualities that he had on the ice, Austin was able to talk to Matt McIlvain, the head coach down there, and bring out a nice little article about Nathan. But Nathan, just looking at his season, 19 points in 56 games, 25 points the season before that, or 25 points with 72 games the season before that. So I've got it somewhere right here. Penalty minutes a little high, actually dramatically high, but number 22 overall pick for the Anaheim Ducks in 2022. Stein Solberg. Now, Zach, you haven't made it down to San Diego yet, from what I know, but you've monitored a little bit about what's going on with the farm system of the Anaheim Ducks, and I'm going to come back to my thought process in 1 minute. But can you just kind of tell me about the Ducks farm system, Stein Solberg joining the team? I don't believe the goals are in a playoff run. This might just be late season promotion and pro time.
Yeah, they were kind of similarly to the Ducks. Mathematically they were there. They went on a hot streak, and it said, oh, maybe we can fancy ourselves getting into the mix here. And they finally fell off a little bit, just as the Ducks did. In terms of the prospects, so it's a combination of a couple things going on down there. One, with the college seasons ending, you're getting a lot of the college prospects that end their seasons. They're able to join the teams at the end of the year. So they sign their amateur tryout contracts. Your guys like Ian Moore out of Harvard, Will Francis, who's a great story that I want to get to out of Minnesota Duluth. And Solberg is not one of those guys, but he has joined that group in a move that caught a lot of people off guard. He's a Norwegian kid. Again, hits like a freight train. Love his game. He was playing over in Sweden for Färjestad, and Färjestad made the Swedish League playoffs. But this what was reportedly happening was his ice time was getting messed around all the time. There were games where he'd be playing 20 minutes. There'd be games where he'd play 8 minutes. And the other thing with the Swedish League, you can be they dress everybody. The healthy scratches just simply sit on the end of the bench and don't play. But if there's an injury or something, they can jump in. So there were a couple games where he had 4 seconds of ice time, and I was kind of what is going on there? But the coach was seemingly leaning on these veteran guys that they brought in to make this playoff run, and the Ducks were kind of already fed up with Färjestad a little bit. They pulled one of their goal-attending prospects out of there mid-season, Damian Clara. And so they were I think Pat Verbeek and co were just look, we think highly of this kid. If you're not going to play him in your biggest games, then we're going to bring him home and put him close to our own eyes and down in San Diego. and kind of get him ready to go to get that next wave of Ducks defensive prospects coming up, because the Ducks defensive pipeline is loaded. We've talked plenty all season about Zellweger and Minchikov and Jackson Lacombe up here, but we're still looking at Tristan Luneau, Tyson Hines, Noah Warren, and not to mention the kids and juniors still that we're waiting on. But having Solberg come over here, he gets more hands-on coordination with the Ducks staff. He gets the big minutes, and he's, from what I understand, been playing solid down there. And the key too for him is transitioning to the North American style game, which in the European leagues, it's bigger ice, it's a little more free flowing. Here it kind of suits his game more, where he is a big physical kid that likes to push guys up against the boards, that likes to body check and throw dudes to the ice and all the above. So just a kind of a big check mark for them to get him in late in the year and get him moving to progress to the North American game and again be within easy eye access for them.
The thing I like about Styan already, he's already thrown his body around. 19-year-old going and just smashing kids down in San Diego. He really is. And I say kids, but he is the baby. He's 19, and I want to say that I saw him hit somebody the other night, and it was like, I remember it was one of those AHL veteran guys, and I'm just like, this is great. I love this kid. It's funny, Ducks picked number 3 last year. They had Beckett Seneca as the number 3 pick overall. And I feel like a lot more people were more excited about Styan Solberg, who's probably never going to find the back of the net. He'll do it eventually, but guy that's never going to find the back of the net compared to this playmaking, goal-scoring, great skater in Beckett Seneca. But I love it. Jared, we've talked about this to some degree. Angels and Anaheim Ducks are within a similar pattern. You're waiting for a lot of guys to grow, and we mentioned it earlier. Jackson Lacombe is growing, and guys like this. Beckett Seneca, this was the thought process I had. A lot of what Pat Verbeek is doing is bringing in immense talent, skill players, high-end skill players. No matter what, there's Leo Carlson's speed, playmaking ability. You mentioned Cutter's speed. Zegras' playmaking ability. You need guys that can find the back of the net, but outside of that, I always base things on the Colorado Avalanche and what the Colorado Avalanche did to get to where they were. Now, the Anaheim Ducks do not have Nathan MacKinnon. We mentioned it. Nathan MacKinnon, we talk about Connor McDavid as one of the most gifted players we've ever seen. Nathan MacKinnon is one of the greatest, most gifted players we've ever seen. But Cale Makar, same thing. But when you bring in high skill set, high talent players like this, eventually things have to click. The one thing Colorado did not have, as much as I love Darcy Kemper, Ontario Reign goaltender, dude, when they were in the ECHL, love Darcy Kemper. But I'm sorry, Lucas Dostal and John Gibson are night and day different than Darcy Kemper, and Darcy Kemper helped Colorado win a Stanley Cup, even though they were scoring like 8 goals a game against Tampa, but whatever. Jared, with where the skill set of the Anaheim Ducks is moving into the future, could this be the building steps of being a team like Colorado? And I don't want to compare the two, but could it be those little steps that make it that create a way towards a high-end caliber Stanley Cup championship kind of team?
Yeah, I mean, you look at, and I'm going to always compare it to when I watched the Ducks a lot and was a diehard, back when they were going to the playoffs every single year. It has a lot of similarities to that. I think that the biggest thing that they're missing right now, and I think that helps the team out a lot, besides a Nathan MacKinnon or a Cale Makar, is going to be somebody who is at the top of, a first line, winger center guy that can go score goals and help out the rest of the team. And I think that makes you a lot better at the end of the day. Of course, I mean, a little help here and there with the development side of things, seeing Cutter Gauthier get a little bit better. We're seeing big steps with the defense as well. I mean, we mentioned Lacombe, who's I absolutely loved watching him play on a daily basis. I mean, strides to being a superstar, that is Jackson Lacombe, because he's been absolutely unbelievable. But I think the Ducks have the cap room to go do it. I think getting hopefully a big star this offseason really helps everything trickle down as well and makes a lot of other players better. And I think that you'd like to hope that the Samuelis and Verbeek go out and do that. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, this is the making of a very, very good young core group of guys, like we mentioned, the Angels having in a sense. they just need somebody at the top leading the way, and I think that helps everybody out.
And Jack, I know I mentioned the bad, evil word of Colorado. I apologize for mentioning anything relevant to Denver. But you've seen more development hockey than any of us this year with ASU. When it comes to come on, Zach. Zach just rolls it. That's just all this podcast is, just Zach rolling his eyes.
You reminded me of I had high hopes for the Arizona State Sun Devils making the tournament, and then they had to run into Denver again for the fourth time this season. Fifth. Oh my God!
But they played well against Denver all season long, including, sadly, the elimination game. So I apologize. But Jack, thoughts on the development for the Ducks at this point? With where the Ducks are, and Jared, we talked about this on the last podcast. My goal for the Anaheim Ducks, finish at 500. It's still a capable mark. Zach, I think you agreed with that. 500 is a reasonable mark. Jack, I think you were on it. But Jack,
Jacob Trouba literally said that this morning, that their new goal is 500. Yeah.
We are going back to that, by the way. Thank you for reminding me, because I forgot that in my notebook. But, Jack, when it comes to development, we're at the point in the season where we're focused on the winner, right? We're quote-unquote winner, we're focused on the summer for the Anaheim Ducks. What do you want to see the rest of the way for the Anaheim Ducks, especially from a development standpoint? And also, love to hear your Frozen Four predictions.
Oh, boy. I'm using the Frozen Four predictions last because that's going to be a doozy with all the upsets yesterday. But for the Ducks, what I want to see the rest of the way, I mean, it's just play competitive hockey. Like, I'm tired of watching this team barely squeak out a point or a win just because John Gibson and Lukas Dostal stole the show and stole the win. Like, I want to see, like the game against Nashville that they played. Like, I want to see games where they take control and they outplay their opponents. There hasn't been a lot of that this year. Obviously, they have the best goalie tandem in the NHL that's kind of bailed them out. So I want to see more consistent hockey from them because they show flashes of what they can be and what they can do. They just don't do it for a full 60 minutes. So I want to see them put together a lot more 60-minute efforts going down the stretch. Leo Carlson's looking amazing right now. He's really settled it into the second half. I want to see him continue to grow. Who else? I mean, like you guys have been saying, like they have the core in place. They have the pillars of the organization in place. They just got to build around it now this offseason.
And I think Lukas Dostal and John Gibson. Zach, were you saying that's the best goalie pairing in the NHL right now? Is that what you said last show?
I think the Athletic named them the number 2 in the
number
NHL.
2.
Yeah, I think some statistical models have them as the number 1 tandem.
Well, and that's what I mean. I had to look up that Darcy Kemper was the goalie for Colorado when they won the Cup because in my mind it was Grubauer, and I'm like, Grubauer's awful. Like,
yeah, he got beat out that year by
and
Kemper.
But that's
yeah.
And it's like I just sit there. I'm like, if Philip Grubauer can win a Stanley Cup, then hell, I can go win a Stanley Cup. But no, if Austin Matthews can't win a Stanley Cup, Jared, you don't get that one.
Don't get him started.
You don't get that one.
Pull
Toronto
up,
comes
Taylor. Pull up.
So am I going to be able to cover the Ducks on Sunday or Monday or whatever? They come on Sunday, don't they?
The Leafs come in on Sunday. Yeah, future Duck Mitch Marner.
Future Duck. And, see, it's not a Zach Top mustache. It's an Austin Matthews mustache. It's so much better than Austin Matthews. Everything's better than Austin Matthews. You forgot your Frozen Four predictions, Jack. And I want to hear everyone's Frozen Four.
Oh,
sorry,
yeah,
boys.
I purposely forgot because I wanted to take one more look and make sure I getting it right.
But BC and Bentley are tied 1-1 at the end of the second right now.
Ooh, yeah, that's a big game in the Ducks locker room. They got 3 BC guys watching that one.
I want Bentley. I had to Google who Bentley was. Okay, raise your hands, boys. Who had to Google where Bentley was?
I mean,
you guys, thank you. Go ahead, Jack. I apologize.
Oh man, I think I'm gonna go Western Michigan and Denver. I think the 2 NCHC schools that are still in it, I think they're going to be in the Final Four. And then, oh man, the other side of the bracket's just tough. I'm like looking at the bracket right now, and I'm like,
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff over there.
yeah, like it's like Cornell beating Michigan State yesterday. That throws everything through a loop. I think UMass can make it. Oh man, I'll go. Did I say Boston University? Is that what I
You
said?
did not.
I'll go Boston.
Hey Zach, while he's doing that, what are your predictions?
Boston University. Boston University. There we go.
So you're going BU again? BU over who?
Oh, I just picked those my last team to make it in.
Oh, okay.
That's the Final Four. That's the Final
Yeah,
Four.
Final Four is Western Mich and UMass, Cornell and Boston. Final Four. You're talking Final Four. Got it. Okay, I get you. So you went with. So you're going BU, Western Mich, Denver, and who'd you pick? UConn?
No. Did I pick
Quinnipiac?
Oh no.
You got Maine, Penn State, Quinnipiac, or UConn?
I think I went Cornell.
Okay.
I think. I'm losing track.
Brian Hayward University.
Zach, why don't you run with it?
From the brackets that are already done, the fact that Western Michigan took as long as they did to get into overtime, despite being the seeded team there, and UMass, fighting back on Minnesota, despite Minnesota probably should have got a power play there at the end of that game. I'm gonna go UMass over Western Michigan. Sorry, Sam Colangelo. And then, BC's just loaded, dude. I don't know how they don't make it out of there. So I'll kind of go chalk with BC. BU, I think, over Cornell. Cornell resilient in getting that win over Michigan State, but BU just more talented. I'll take Penn State to get an upset over Maine and make it out of that. And then champion, I'll go BC. I just think they're the same as last year. They have sort of an unfinished business about them because Cutter Gauthier was on that team and they didn't win. They're just so absolutely loaded between Cole Hudson and Ryan Leonard and them. That's a damn good team that should win.
All right, Jared, I'm going to ask you two. I need your Frozen Four. You can just give me your final on this one. I also need who's going to win the College World Series over who.
Oh man, I had to look this up because I haven't been watching too much of it. But I'll go. Assuming they can play, I'll go Boston College against Maine, only because I know Paul Kariya went to Maine. That's the only reason why I'm picking Maine.
Good reason, buddy. All right, good reason. All right, College World Series. Who you got?
Not Texas A&M. Tennessee.
Again, over who?
I'd have to look at a bracket. Tennessee against.
There's no bracket. We're not even at SEC play.
I know. Tennessee against Florida State.
It's a good call.
Arnold in the World Series.
Tennessee is stupid loaded like Boston College, but neither of them are going to do it. Denver over Western Mich. College World Series going LSU. One last thing, Zach, you mentioned Jacob Trouba. New York Rangers are in town tonight. Right, tonight? Does that sound right?
That's tonight.
That's tonight. So Jacob
free
Trouba.
T-shirt night at the pond.
Ooh.
Yeah. Your visit Anaheim free T-shirt.
So 113, I might make it down there. Jacob Trouba, obviously. When I think of Jacob Trouba, I think of Winnipeg. I don't think of the New York Rangers. I know the contract, I know everything there. But for Jacob today, this morning, you were talking to him about having the Rangers pop back and everything like that. What was Jacob's mood? What was it like having Jacob this morning?
He was a little funny. He came out of the weight room with the PR staff, and he was just like, "Oh, that's disappointing." Seeing the amount of people out here, I guess he figured it was going to be the New York media circus, but it was just, the regular three of us, and then I think there were two guys from New York that were there this morning. But he approached it in the same way that he has any interview that we've done with him since. He is so unbothered by stuff. He's just there. It's his job. He comes and plays, and he had dinner with his former teammates last night, and I'm going to pull up the quote exactly what he told us here, because the New York guy asked just, what's it going to be like playing against these guys? He said, or did he see that he asked, is it going to feel like some level of closure to have this game be played? And he said, no, I don't think so. I feel like the page has already been turned. Honestly, I don't think about this like any other game. It's a little different, but I've moved past it. Obviously, I've taken some time. Things happen in life. It's not like it just turns the next day. But enough time has gone by where I've moved on. Everybody's kind of moved on. And I'm happy to be here, happy to be part of the Ducks organization. Also said that it was a culture shock moving from Manhattan to Orange County. Less horns and cleaner air is what he said.
I like that.
Yeah. So he just seemed kind of unbothered by it. He's this is where he is and this is what he's doing. And the game, I think it would be a much bigger thing if he was going back to MSG first. But who knows how the schedule works out next year, how long it takes for him to get back there. But it is a long time has passed and there was so much going on in New York. I don't think he blames the teammates, obviously. I don't think the fans of the Rangers blame Jacob Trouba in anything that went on there. Any antagonism would be towards the Rangers organization and MSG specifically. But now it's, the Rangers are in the middle of that Eastern Conference wildcard mess, and the Ducks were competitive, but now they've fallen off a little bit. He was the one that said that the new goal is to hit 500, something the Ducks haven't done in a while either. And he's settled in. He's ready to go. He's been a good leader coming in and kind of just being a calm pillar back there for the ups and downs that he's had in his actual defensive play.
Which is kind of funny because leadership was the quote unquote question about him coming over, and you and I talked about it. I know we did when everything kind of came through, but obviously this guy legitimately is a locker room guy and good dude. Just a dude being a bro being a dude. So best luck for Jacob tonight. You just want to see it. With everything that happened, you want to see the positive. So, final thoughts, boys. I'm going to run a fun one with you. Angels number 2 pick for the MLB draft. Gun-ho. Let's start with Jared. Who you taking with no assumption of who goes 1?
Am I Perry Minasian or am I Jared Timms?
You're Jared Timms.
Ooh, no assumption who goes 1. I want Jamie Arnold.
Fair enough. Jack James. Who you taking?
That was my pick, Jamie Arnold.
Fair enough. Zach Kavanaugh, who you taking?
I think we did this last time, or a couple times ago, and I gotta stick with my Aggie, Chase Laviolette.
Wow. All right. I like it. We go with Seth Hernandez, boys. We're gonna take a right-handed prep pitcher. On that note, closing thoughts. Jared, thanks for joining us today, man. It was good having you on. Tell us a little bit about what's going on. Middleton High School Vikings have a big game tomorrow at 11 o'clock. You got your ace on the mound for that one?
Yeah. We got the ace on the mound. One of 3 aces. We got three big aces there. But yeah, no. Excited for high school baseball up here in Middleton, Idaho. If nobody knows where that is, it's about 30 minutes outside of Boise. And I guess I'll give one little final thought that the Angels will win at least one game this year. Attaboy.
That's how you do it. Hey, check out a Steelheads game. They're still playing. Check out the Steelheads for us. And then, good luck to the Vikings. For those that don't know, Middleton actually is a pretty premier program out in Idaho. And Jared is the pitching coach. So, Jared, good luck to you and the Vikings. Jack, good to have you back home, buddy. Any closing thoughts at all for Wings on Katella?
I'm going to take Jared a step further and say the Angels will win at least 2 games.
Damn, wow.
We're getting bold.
Coming in with a banger. So, Jack, good to have you home, man. What are you working on? I know you're going back to Arizona here soon. You're going to be coming. When are you coming back for Angel stuff for us? You're coming back in like April?
First week of May.
First week of May. Perfect. So we'll have Jack James on Angels coverage for us starting in May. Again, he's got to take care of a few things out Arizona way. And Zach Kavanaugh, 11 games left, buddy. 11 more. Any closing thoughts at all?
Yeah, 11 games left. I think it's 6 home games total. Count down the days on my first season here with the Sporting Tribune and in the Ducks locker room, which is fun. Go read my Cutter Gauthier story. I really like how it came out at thesportingtribune.com, or you can find it on socials at Zach Cav, ZACHCAV. And I am not convinced the Angels will win a game this year.
All right. Well,
when I saw your tweet, they were like, "They will win a game." I almost responded with, "Are Are you sure? You sure about that?
Well, I will one up these boys. I'll say that they'll win at least 3 games. So, for everybody here, Jared Timms, you can follow him on X, Twitter, whatever crap that is, at Jared_Timms. You can follow Jack Janes at Jack Janes_ at the end of that. And Zach, you already said it, but you can follow Zach at Zach Cav, ZACHCAV. I've got to do with a C because I keep screwing up the A. Or I can't even say K. I said A instead of K. Sticking Canadians. You can follow me on Twitter at Taylor Blake Ward. And for the Wings on Katella podcast, is brought to you by thesportingtribune.com. Thanks, everybody. Hope you enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next time.